Hello, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Jillian. I'm an expat living in Thailand, and I've been living here for almost 2 years now. And today we're going to talk about the cost of living in Phuket in 2026 because I've had a lot of questions about the cost of living. First, let me just do an audio check. Make sure everything is working. I just got back from my island hopping trip to Koh Chang and Koh Kood. Oh my God, it was so good. Thailand never ceases to amaze me, honestly. Okay, let's see.
My island
Okay, it's
hopping
working.
trip.
Everything's working. Okay, perfect. So, cost of living in Phuket in 2026. So, the first question that I got was, how long have I been living in Phuket? And why did I pick it over the other places in Thailand? So, I've been living in Phuket since I moved here almost 2 years ago. And I chose Phuket because initially I moved here to take a job as a teacher at an international school, and the school was located in Phuket. And I chose a school located in Phuket intentionally because before taking this job, I was offered a couple of other jobs in Chiang Mai, which I love, by the way. And there's a ton of international schools in Bangkok. But for those of you who don't know my story, I came here from New York City. I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. And I didn't want to live in Bangkok because coming from New York City, I wanted to escape the city life. And Chiang Mai, I was curious about. I hadn't visited yet at the time when I was offered the job. But I'm a beach girl, and I just always felt like I was meant to live on an island. So there aren't that many international schools in Phuket. So when I was offered that job, I knew that that was the job I had to take no matter what. So after I was offered that job, there was no looking back. Now, those of you who know my story know that I don't work at that school anymore and that I transitioned into remote work for a better quality of life. But at the time, that is why I chose Phuket. And for me, I need to be by the sea. I need to be by a body of water. I need to be by the beach because being by the beach is like one of the number one things that makes me happy. So I knew that moving to Thailand, it was a priority to be by the sea. So that's why I chose Phuket. And now that I transitioned into working remotely, I really can live wherever I want in Thailand. And I've been quite a few places in Thailand. I've traveled around the country quite a bit. I mean, there's still so many more places that I want to see. But I really have developed a life here. And I have to say, Phuket isn't my favorite place in all of Thailand, and it's definitely not the cheapest place. We're going to get into the cost of living in this live stream. But Phuket is a very convenient place to live. You get the island life, and you can go into the busy areas of Phuket and feel some type of city-ish life. And it's easy to get things here, easy to get the things that I need. So it is very convenient. There's an international airport here. I mean, and that's a non-negotiable for me. I do need to live in a place where there's an international airport because I do travel a lot. For example, like I just came back from Koh Chang and Koh Kood, and I fell in love with Koh Chang, and I got the feeling like I would live in Koh Chang. That's how much I loved it. But there's no international airport there, and it would be very difficult to travel if I lived in a place like that. So for me, for my lifestyle, like I'm big into health and fitness. There's a huge fitness community in Phuket that it is just very convenient, and you get the island life. You're living in southern Thailand, so you're very easily connected to a lot of the other islands. So that is why I choose for now to stay in Phuket. And I do live in a very local neighborhood in Phuket, so Phuket is very touristy, and I feel like it Phuket gets like a bad reputation sometimes because of areas like Patong and things like that. But Phuket only has a bad reputation because of the people who have traveled here and only seen Patong. Phuket is huge. It's the biggest island in Thailand. So there are so many different neighborhoods, so many different districts with like different vibes and different energies to them. So I live in a very local neighborhood, so it's very peaceful, it's very quiet. Like I'm very far away from all the chaos. So that like is a big quality of life thing for me. So if you are thinking about living in Phuket, I highly recommend looking into some of the neighborhoods like on the outskirts and away from Patong, away from the chaos. So that way you have the convenience, but you don't have to constantly feel like you're surrounded by people who are on holiday and around a lot of tourists. So that's why I choose to stay here for now. You know, who knows what the future holds. You know, I'm blessed to have the job that I do now where I have the flexibility. I can live wherever I want, whenever I choose to change my mind. What was my biggest financial surprise when I first moved here? That's my next question. So I would say my biggest financial surprise was that it's actually way more expensive to do your grocery shopping here than it is to eat out. Barely anybody cooks here in Thailand. If you've ever seen any of like the kitchens in any of the apartments, like they're not even full kitchens. They don't have a full stove, a full oven or an oven or anything like that. So that was a big financial surprise for me, that it's more expensive to do your grocery shopping and cook your own food than it is to eat out. Hi, if you just joined, my name's Jillian. I'm an expat living in Thailand for almost 2 years now. I live in Phuket, so I'm just talking about the cost of living. And a lot of people do come to Thailand and move to Thailand, and they just never cook a single meal in their lives anymore. But like I said, I'm into health and fitness, so I like to do my meal prep. So it is important for me to do my grocery shopping. So that was definitely a surprise for me, because coming from the United States, coming from New York, obviously it's more expensive to eat out every day than it would be to grocery shop and cook your own food, even though grocery shopping is also super expensive in the United States. But that was probably the biggest financial surprise for me. The next question that somebody asked me, what's that? Is did I think Phuket would be more expensive than it actually is? I don't know. I knew coming in that it was going to be more expensive than other places in Thailand. Phuket is the most expensive place in Thailand to live. And it's definitely not cheap. Like, it's cheaper than New York City, cheaper than the United States, of course. But I think that people come to Thailand or move to Thailand thinking it's going to be so super ridiculously cheap. And unfortunately, it's not. So, did I think it was going to be more expensive? I'm not really sure. It's hard for me to say. I actually think that maybe I thought it was going to be less expensive. And with my financial situation, it's kind of different. When I first moved here, I was working for a Thai company, right? And I was working for the international school here in Thailand. So my salary was in Thai baht. So when your salary is in Thai baht, you don't have to think about the currency conversions or anything like that. It kind of all stays the same. I actually felt like it was cheaper when I was getting paid in Thai baht than now when I'm getting paid in US dollars, because the exchange rate is really not the best right now. I'm constantly seeing the transactions on my credit card in US dollars, and it's definitely more expensive when you're converting Thai baht to USD. So I guess you could say I actually thought that it would be cheaper. I knew it was going to be expensive for Thailand. Like, I knew Phuket was the most expensive place to live in Thailand, but I actually thought it would be cheaper. But again, we're going to get into all the different pieces of the cost of living, but I've said this in previous streams. It really does depend on the type of lifestyle that you want to live here. So that being said, let's see what other questions we have. Okay, so I have some questions about housing. The first one is, how much is rent in Phuket and what does that actually get you? Okay, so when I first moved here, I was renting a 1-bedroom apartment in a condo, and I was renting that for 20,000 Thai baht. Now, the apartment itself, it was 1 bedroom. I had 1 bedroom, a living room, kitchen situation, and a bathroom. But it was very small. But the condo building itself, it did have some amenities. It had 2 infinity pools. It had a gym. I'll say a gym, right? Like a fitness room. For me, somebody who works out intensely, that gym wasn't enough for me, but it does have that. It has 24-hour security, parking garage. So it had a lot of amenities, even though the apartment was small. So that was 20,000 baht. Let's see what 20,000 baht is in USD right now. By the way, if you don't have this on your iPhone calculator, I don't know if you can see, I have the setting so that it converts USD to Thai baht and Thai baht to USD. So you should definitely, if you travel or you live abroad, you should definitely change this setting on your phone. I think all you do is you click the calculator icon and you have to have convert selected, and it will do the currency conversion for you. So I said 20,000 Thai baht. What is that today? Let's see. Okay, so 20,000 Thai baht today is $625.39 a month. I actually think that's pretty expensive for Thailand. But the conversion rate is different today than it was almost 2 years ago when I moved here. 20,000 Thai baht when I moved here was like $550, something like that, which I thought was much better. So because the um, the Thai baht is very strong against the US dollar now, things are more expensive if you are paying in US dollars. So that's what you can get for 20,000 Thai baht. But I know that there are other options for the same price. Like you can get a whole house for a similar price. Now, it's not going to be like a pool villa. It will be like a basic kind of Thai house, um, with maybe like a backyard, no pool, no amenities, things like that. I know that you can get those types of rentals for a similar price, anywhere from like 20,000 to 25,000 Thai baht. Um, but the reason why I didn't choose something like that is because I was just moving here, and I wanted the amenities. Like growing up in New York City, I feel like you only have a pool or access to a pool in your home if you're like super, super rich. So for me, moving here and having two pools at my disposal was like a dream. Um, so since then, I have moved, but I definitely wanted the pool at the time. Hi, if you're just joining, my name's Jillian. I'm an expat living in Thailand. I've been here for almost 2 years now, and I live in Phuket. So I'm just talking about the cost of living. Um, but since then, I moved to the more quiet neighborhood. Um, I still pay out of my pocket 20,000 Thai baht a month because I don't live alone. I split the rent with somebody. Well, not really split. I pay my 20,000 Thai baht, and that's it. But this apartment goes for 32,000, I think. Um, Let me see what that is in US dollars. That's a lot. For this, that's a lot. 32. Yeah, that's $1,000.63, which for this apartment, like this apartment's very nice. Like it's, don't get me wrong, it's very modern. It's very clean. Um, no one had really lived in here before us. Like it's a newer development. It has a sick view, right? But there are no amenities. There's no pool. There's nothing like that. In my opinion, I do think that our landlord is overcharging us. Um, that's just my opinion, but what am I gonna do? I moved in here with somebody, so I didn't really have a say in negotiating the rent. But and I do have to say, like, it does depend on what time of year you sign your lease. So if you are moving to Thailand, I suggest signing a lease during low season. During low season, rental agreements are way cheaper than um, renting in high season. So this apartment was rented for 32,000 Thai baht in January. That's like the peak of high season. So I feel like the landlord was able to get away with a much higher cost than if it was low season, because we have a unit next door that like is vacant most of the time, and I think it's really because she's overcharging. We're not in a touristy neighborhood, so you're not really going to get the frequent tourists that want to live in this neighborhood because it's not really by all the action, and it's a more like lesser known neighborhood. So because the lease was signed in January, I think that's why it's so expensive. I think that if it was signed in the low season, we could have gotten it for a much um, a much lower cost. But my budget was always 20,000 Thai baht a month. So as long as I'm paying that, like I'm okay with that. Um, Eventually, I'd love to upgrade to like a pool villa. Like that's the dream. But we're not there yet. Um, that being said, like I've said this before and I'll say it again. In Thailand, in terms of budget and luxury, like sky's the limit. There really is something for everybody's budget here. If you have the money, you can get a sick house here with a pool, like a full kitchen, everything. So, I mean, it really depends on your budget and your lifestyle. If you want to go big, you can go big. Um, Also, like, there are places to rent here for like 10,000 Thai baht a month, but those are going to be like kind of like small rooms. Um, no frills, no amenities, but if that's what your budget is, there are options, right? And again, keep in mind that this is Phuket, so Phuket is super expensive. Other places in Thailand, you could definitely find rentals for way cheaper. And again, like, still, my rent in full, what is it, like $1,000? I mean, in New York City, I wouldn't be able to get anything like this for $1,000 a month. Hi, if you're just joining, my name's Jillian. I'm an expat living in Thailand. I've been here for almost 2 years now. I'm talking about the cost of living in Phuket, because Phuket is where I live, and Phuket is the most expensive place to live in all of Thailand. So if you have any questions about the cost of living here, or really any questions about Thailand at all, just drop them in the chat. I'm happy to answer them. So I had some other questions about housing. So that was rent. Is it cheaper to live in Phuket long term versus staying in hotels or Airbnbs? 100%. 100%. Because I even see my landlord, sometimes when we have visitors, the unit next door will rent out if we have family or friends visiting us. So that way they're right next door. And what she's charging for, let's just say like a week or 10 days, is comparable to any of like the luxury hotels in the area. So again, like I said, I do think that she is overcharging, but I guess she's a businesswoman. But that being said, what people are paying to stay in a rental like this, an Airbnb or a hotel, for a week or 2 weeks is comparable to just paying for a month's rent. And you'll actually see a lot of the rental agreements in Thailand. If you sign a yearly contract, your monthly rent is significantly cheaper because you're locking in for a year. So, I mean, that's better for them. It's guaranteed income for them for a year, right? So they lower the price. So it definitely is cheaper to live here long term with a rental agreement than it would be to stay in hotels and Airbnbs. But for anybody that is moving here, like, I would suggest coming here and maybe doing a few Airbnbs in different neighborhoods first before signing something for a year, to kind of just like get a feel of what area you like the best before you end up locking in for a year. Like, I do know somebody who was here recently who signed a rental contract for a few months in Bangtao, and it kind of bit him in the ass because he didn't really love Bangtao, and he wanted to to change neighborhoods, and I think he had trouble getting out of that agreement because he had already signed for a few months. So even though it is more expensive, I recommend, if you are moving here, start by staying in Airbnbs and hotels in different areas of the island. Like I said, Phuket is huge. It's massive. And there are so many different neighborhoods with different vibes that you should probably test all of them out. Um, Again, I didn't do that when I moved here, but then, like I said, I moved here for a job that I had at the time. So I already knew like I needed to be close to my job. So I didn't really have the flexibility of exploring different neighborhoods. Like I knew where I had to be. So that's why I chose my initial apartment. Hi, if you just joined, my name's Jillian. I'm an expat living in Thailand. I've been here for almost 2 years now. And I'm talking about the cost of living in Phuket because that's where I live. And Phuket is the most expensive place in all of Thailand. So if you have any questions about the cost of living here, or really any questions about Thailand, moving to Thailand, coming to Thailand, just drop them in the chat. I'd be happy to answer them. So that was hotels, Airbnbs versus living in Phuket long term. The next question that I have here, what areas of Phuket are the most affordable to live in? Not my area. I'll tell you that much. My area is for like the rich tourists, I feel like. I mean, and any tour, it is a local neighborhood, but if you want to live in like a kind of like an upscale apartment and like not a Thai style house, it's going to be pretty expensive. I would say, where have I seen most affordable? Maybe in like Central, because Central's not really by the beach, right? Central's not really by the sea. I remember when I was first moving here and I was looking on Facebook Marketplace. So that's a big thing. If you want to find a rental in Thailand and really a lot of places in Southeast Asia, believe it or not, Facebook is the place that you want to go to find your apartments. So I think around Central, it's probably where I saw condos that were cheaper, like 17,000 a month, 18,000 a month. But then again, like you're not by the beach, you're not by the sea. For me, it's important to be by the ocean. So I wouldn't want to live in Central. That's like by the mall. It's by the highway. It's very trafficy. Like I see why it's cheaper to live in that area. But like I said, in all neighborhoods, you definitely have options. It depends on the lifestyle that you're trying to live, what type of accommodation, like, what are your non-negotiables, right? Do you need a pool? Do you need amenities? How many bedrooms do you need? Do you want a balcony with a sea view like I have? Or are you okay with like the bare minimum? Do you need laundry, right? So you have to take all of that into account, but really in any neighborhood, you're going to find prices that vary. A lot of those houses I was talking about that you could find from 20 to 25,000, I've seen a lot of them in Geelong, which I think Geelong is not necessarily on the beach, right? I would say it's like a 10-minute drive from the beach, but I do like Geelong. Geelong is a very convenient area. It's like 10 minutes from the beach, 10 minutes from Fitness Street. They have Robinson's, a mall over there. They have Villa Market, the European supermarket. So it's a very convenient area to live in. So if you don't need to be on the beach, maybe consider Geelong, because you can get something for a decent price and you'll be just about 10 minutes from everything that you would probably need. So for first timers, I mean, Geelong is the neighborhood that I lived in first, and I really did like living there, because it was so convenient. But I am glad that I live where I live now, that it's more local, that I have Thai neighbors, because I started to feel after a while living in Geelong, I was around so many foreigners and not enough Thai people that I started to feel like, wait, do I actually live in Thailand? Like, where are, it didn't feel so local anymore. But if you're just moving here for the first time, it's a super convenient area, and it's fun. Geelong is fun. Geelong is good vibes. Hi, if you're just joining, my name's Jillian. I'm an expat living in Thailand. I've been here for almost 2 years now. And I'm talking about the cost of living in Phuket because that's where I live. And Phuket is the most expensive place in all of Thailand. So I've had a lot of questions about that because, a lot of people do come to Thailand and they think it's going to be super cheap. And if they're coming to Phuket and really a lot of places in the south, they're kind of like surprised by the prices. So I've had a lot of questions recently about cost of living. Okay, food. I kind of spoke about this earlier. What does a typical week of groceries cost me? So I am a grocery shopper because I like to do my own meal prep. So let's see, I just did groceries the other day. Let me look at my credit card statement. Like I said, it is definitely more expensive to do your grocery shopping than cook. So if you don't have to follow a diet, you might as well eat out. I mean, the food here is phenomenal. Like I do still eat out from time to time, and Thais really know how to cook. Like Thai food is great, and even the way they do Western food, they do it really, really well. So if you don't follow a diet or anything, go ahead, eat out. But me, I follow my regimen. Okay, so the other day I did my grocery shopping and it came out to $69. Now, that was a big haul because I was just coming back from traveling. So I needed everything. And I had to do my meal prep. So sometimes it doesn't come out to $70. There are sometimes it comes out to like $45. But what I will say is that grocery order is not just for a week. I was able to meal prep for at least 2 weeks with that $70. So I think that even though that's more expensive than eating out here, I think $70 for 2 weeks worth of meal prep is really great. Because in New York, I was doing grocery shopping weekly, once a week, and it was a minimum of $150 every week. So $70 for 2 weeks worth of groceries, I think is great. And when I say eating out is cheaper, I mean, if you want to eat out local style, right? Because you can eat out in Phuket and eat out in Thailand and go to all like the Western restaurants, and those aren't going to be like so necessarily so cheap. Again, cheaper than in the West for sure, but not dirt cheap. But if you eat local style, right? If you eat like street food, if you eat like at a local Thai restaurant, you can get meals for less than 100 baht. Like 80 baht meals I've seen. Some of the street food, I remember like I got a pad Thai once for 30 baht. That's $1. Okay. So if you're okay with eating street food and you're not really into living that Western lifestyle, even though it's Phuket, you still can eat for dirt cheap. I mean, like pad Thai for 30 baht for $1. That's amazing. And it's a big size portion. And again, like the food is delicious. Like Thai food, I love Thai food. I just can't eat it all the time because, they put a lot of sugar in their cooking. I don't eat sugar. And I don't know about the MSG. Like, I don't know if they're actually putting MSG in all their food, but when I was teaching at the international school, the students would tell me, Miss Jillian, there's MSG in everything here. Even if they say there's no MSG, there's MSG in it. Like, that's what they used to tell me. So I don't know, but for me, when I eat Thai food, it's a treat. It's a cheat meal. But again, if you don't follow a diet, like, I know a lot of people live here, they just eat whatever they want. Like, more power to you. Like, I wish I could live a life like that, but I can't. I gotta stay on my diet if I'm gonna stay serious in the gym. So you do have options, right? You still can live that dirt cheap life living here. But I think most people move here and they don't want to live that style of life. Like, they want to live, they want to go to more like Western places when it comes to food, when it comes to housing. So it depends on the lifestyle that you want to live. But if you're into that, like street food and local Thai restaurants and all of that, then you can still eat for very, very cheap. So again, just like everything else in Thailand, there are options for everybody's budget. But I do think that people come here thinking they're going to live a Western life for dirt cheap. And that's just not going to happen. It will be cheaper, probably, depending on where you're coming from. Again, I'm coming from New York City. I'm coming from one of the most expensive cities in the world. So for me, even though it's not as cheap as maybe I initially thought moving here, it's so much cheaper than living in New York City for me. So also depends on where you're coming from, right? Hi, if you just joined, my name's Jillian. I'm an expat living in Thailand, and I've been living here for almost 2 years now. And I'm talking about the cost of living in Phuket, which is where I live. And Phuket is the most expensive place in all of Thailand. So if you have any questions about that or any questions about Thailand in general, just feel free to drop it in the chat. And I'm happy to answer it, happy to help you. That's the whole point of my content, the content I've been creating. I just love Thailand so much, and all I'm trying to do is just share my experience and help people either move here, come here, visit here, whatever it is. So let's see what I have. A bunch of questions. We did, what is the typical week of groceries? How much do I spend eating out versus cooking at home? We did kind of cover that. What's the cheapest meal I've had in Phuket? And what's the most I've spent on a meal? Okay, so I think the 30 baht pad thai was the most expensive. I mean, the cheapest meal that I've had here. So that's $1 for the pad thai. Most expensive, I mean, I don't really know the cost. Like, I hate to say this, but the most expensive meal that I've had here, I probably wasn't the one paying for it. I'll just say that. So I don't know what the price of that is. But, I know that, like, we've been out to dinner and the bill has come out to like over 3,000 baht, which is 3,000 baht is $100. So somewhere along those lines, like not necessarily just my meal, but the combined meal, somewhere like a little over $100, definitely less than $200. But then again, like even that for a really nice, like fancy ass meal, $100 is not a lot. Like, I'm just thinking about the restaurants I used to go to in Brooklyn, and you are not eating anywhere in New York City for less than $100. Like, you're just not, especially if you drink and things like that, which I don't. But so $100 once in a while for like a really fancy meal, I still think is not bad, because that's just the standard from where I'm coming from. But to most people, seeing that bill would probably shock them, being in Thailand. And they would think it's crazy expensive. Like, just coming back from my trip on the islands that I was just at, I was walking back to my hotel. I stayed in a really nice hotel that was floating like above the water. But next to that hotel there were like these like cheap bungalows, which I'm just not going to stay in. Like, tomorrow I'm turning 36 years old. Like, at 36 years old, like, I'm not going to stay in like a cheap place with like bad plumbing. Like, I'm just not. But as I was walking back, there was this guy, I don't know, he must have been like at least 80 years old. He was staying at one of the cheap bungalows, and he stopped me and he was like, "Come here, let me talk to you, blah blah blah." He's like trying to chat it up, and he's like, "Let me ask you, is it expensive to stay in that hotel there that you're staying at?" And I was like, "Well, that depends on what you think expensive is. Like, you'll probably think it's expensive for Thailand." He was like, "How much?" I couldn't remember the exact price, but I know it was somewhere around $100 a night. Like, maybe a little less, but it was a really, really nice place. So he was like, "Oh, yeah, like, that's really expensive." So people do think that that's expensive for Thailand. But I do remember when I would book my trips before moving to Thailand, anything that was $100 a night, like, I thought was a decent price if you're getting something nice. I don't know. But again, maybe that's just the New York City in me. $100 a night I know is expensive for Thailand. But like I said, when it comes to luxury, the sky is kind of the limit. I didn't have to stay at a place that was $100 a night. I could have stayed somewhere cheaper, but I didn't want to stay somewhere cheaper. I wanted to stay somewhere really nice, really clean, good plumbing. Like, I can't express good plumbing because I've stayed in one of those cheaper bungalows before on one of these remote islands, and the plumbing was shitty and the bathroom didn't feel clean, and I'm just not going to live like that. Just my personal preference. So I went on a tangent there, but that was the questions that I have from you guys about food. The next set of questions I have is about transportation. So the first question I have is, do I have a motorbike or do I use taxis and Grab? So I do have a motorbike. I do drive a motorbike. When I first moved here, I was using Grab and Bolt and InDrive because I didn't know how to ride a motorbike yet, and I thought I never would. But after you live here for some time, I just taught myself how to drive one. But so I do rent a motorbike, and what do I pay for that a month? Actually, one thing, cars and motorbikes, those are two things that are like really expensive in Thailand, not even just for foreigners, but for Thais as well. It's known that Thais don't spend a lot on their housing, but they spend a lot on their vehicles. So for my motorbike, now I have a really nice motorbike. I have a Honda ADV 360. So what I have a deal with the guy that I'm renting from that in high season I pay 4,000 baht a month, which is like about $120 a month, which I feel like is like kind of the same price as a car lease in the United States. Well, maybe not anymore, but when I first started leasing cars. And then in low season, I'd pay 3,000 baht a month. So that's $100 a month. So, that is kind of expensive, but I feel like the other option would be to take Grab and Bolt and InDrive everywhere, which would add up to more because I'm on the move every day. Like, I leave the house every day and I go to multiple places. I'm at the gym. I'm getting my lashes done. I'm going grocery shopping. I'm going to the beach. I'm on the move. So I can't rely on a taxi to be picking me up, even if it's a motorbike taxi. Like, I need to have my own vehicle. So that's how much I spend on my motorbike. But if you are taking Grab and Bolt, it depends. Are you willing to take a motorbike taxi? Do you feel comfortable with that? Motorbike taxis are much cheaper than like the car taxis, and honestly just more convenient to get around. I mean, you don't want to be the traffic here is crazy. If you're taking a car, it's going to take you like forever to get anywhere. But I did notice an increase in price in the grabs and the bolts, because there are certain instances where I will take a grab or a bolt. One, if it's someplace like I don't feel comfortable driving, like if it's really far away and I've never been over there before. I've only been driving a motorbike February, March, April for like a year and 2 months. So I still like to play it safe. Like if I'm going somewhere that it's a journey and I don't know if it's going to take me up into the mountains, up into the jungle, and I don't really know where I'm going, I might take a motorbike taxi there the first time I go. And then I kind of see the way and I see if it's a drive I would feel comfortable doing. So there are times that I still take grab and bolt. I tend to always take a motorbike. And those are way cheaper. I mean, depending on the length of the journey that you're going to take. I mean, when I go to Freedom Beach is pretty far away from me, and I have to go through Patong. And if you've been here, like going up and down Patong Hill can be kind of dangerous. So I just don't feel like making that drive myself. I'll get a motorbike taxi to Freedom Beach. And that costs me sometimes almost 300 baht one way, which is like $9. But I think that's expensive for a motorbike taxi. And when I first moved here on Bolt, the car taxis, they used to have a set rate of 200 baht no matter where you were going, but they definitely don't have that anymore. So it's definitely more expensive. I mean, your journeys, if you're going from the south of the island to the airport, that could cost you anywhere from 400 to 700 baht, depending the time of day, what the traffic is, how many drivers are available. So all of that can add up, but for the most part, if you take motorbike taxis, like there are some journeys that I've taken that cost me like 45 baht, 50 baht, 70 baht. So especially if you are just traveling here on holiday, I've said this before, don't rent a motorbike if you don't have experience. Don't do that if you're just here as a tourist. Thailand is not Disneyland. I say that all the time. If you don't have experience driving a motorbike, just take grab and bolt. If you are just traveling here, grab and bolt is very affordable, I have to say. But if you're living here, that that will add up, because then it's your life and you're going from place to place in your own real life. But if you're just traveling here, because even my best friend was visiting 2 weeks ago, and we took a car to one of the beach clubs, and I don't know, it was a long drive, and I think it came out to like $12 or something like that, and like 400 baht, and I was like, oh, it's kind of like an expensive, or maybe it was 500 baht, it was like $15. I was like, oh, it's an expensive ride. And she was just like, oh my god, for a ride this long, can you imagine how much like an Uber would be in Brooklyn and New York City? So if you're just traveling here, it's pretty cheap. It's definitely affordable. You can just feel free to take the grabs and bolts everywhere. Oh yeah, and then the next question somebody had for me was, how much do I spend on transport in a typical month? Like I said, actually April, I just paid my motorbike bill on the 5th, my 4,000 Thai baht, and this is the last month of high season, right? Because Songkran is Monday, and after Songkran, that's really when high season ends. So starting in May, I'll be paying that low season price of 3,000 baht for May, June, July, August, September, October, right, for 6 months. And then in November, I'll pay the high season price again. So typical month for me is 4,000 Thai baht or 3,000 Thai baht, depending on what the season is. Let's see. The next question I have, can you actually live comfortably in Phuket on $1,500 a month? I think you can. For $1,500 a month, I think you can. If, let's say you're me, right, and you're paying 20,000 Thai baht a month for rent. We said that was what, 600 some odd dollars. That gives me about 1,000 more dollars to spend, right? So that was, so 20,000 Thai baht, that was $625. Okay. Then I just said groceries last week. It cost me $70. Okay. So that's going to last me 2 weeks. And it was a big haul. I usually spend less than that. So let's say $140 for groceries. And that's if I'm going crazy a month. So let's add 140. Okay, that puts me at $765.39. Then I pay $50 a month for my gym. So let's add 50. That puts me at $815.39. Then what else do I spend money on? I get my eyelashes done twice a month. That costs me 9 times 30. That costs me that costs me like $27. Let's round it up to $30 a month, $30 every 2 weeks, so $60 a month. It's even less than that, which is crazy because I was paying $120 every 2 weeks for my eyelashes in New York. So let's say $60 for eyelashes a month. That puts me at $875.39. So that was food, rent, lashes, motorbike is now, let's use the high season price, of $120 a month. So plus 120. No, that's 120. That puts me at $995.39. So that's really it. That's really what I'm spending in a month. That's crazy. That's way less than I thought. Now, keep in mind that sometimes maybe I have to order things like supplements, like vitamins. Okay, that could be expensive. But it leaves me, if we do 1,500, let me copy this. That leaves me how much money? If I'm saying $1,500 a month minus 995.39, that leaves me $504.61 for anything extracurricular. So that's, like I said, my supplements and vitamins. That's kind of expensive. Anything, travel, but that doesn't happen every month. Like, I'm not doing activities every month. In my regular day-to-day where I'm just going to the gym, going to the beach, driving my motorbike, doing my grocery shopping, right? For me, like, if I'm going to eat out, usually I'm not paying for it. So I'm not going to calculate that into it. But hi, if you're just joining, my name's Jillian. I'm an expat living in Thailand. I've been here for almost 2 years. And I'm talking about the cost of living in Phuket because that's where I live. And I just calculated how much money I spend in a typical month here. And I only spend about $995.39 a month. And that includes rent, my motorbike rental, my grocery shopping, my gym membership, and my eyelash extensions. Okay. So that's actually pretty good. I'm impressed. I'm surprised. I thought I was spending way more money than that. Again, I'm not factoring in other things that I buy randomly, like my vitamins, also like products, like skincare products. Well, I guess I didn't factor in like 7-Eleven hauls and stuff like that. Like, I'm going to 7-Eleven like almost every day um, to buy drinks and stuff like that. But even so, that gives me $504.61 for all of that. Some months, depending on what I need to stock up on, like maybe I spend over the 1,500, but for my standard necessities, $995, that's amazing. Like, that just made, doing that math made me so happy. I thought adding up all my expenses for a month was gonna make me depressed, but I'm only spending $995 and for everything. And I'm also, like I said, I'm not living like a budget life. If you're coming here and you want a budget, like, you could spend way less than me. Hi, if you're just joining, my name's Jillian. I'm an expat living in Thailand. I've been here for almost 2 years, and I'm talking about the cost of living in Phuket because that's where I live. It's the most expensive place to live in Thailand, and I just calculated that I spend about $995 a month on everything: rent, motorbike rental, grocery shopping, getting my eyelashes done, my gym membership. So that's so good. Like, I'm so happy about that. Okay, so that was that question. So can you actually live comfortable in Phuket on $1,500 a month? Hell yeah, you can. Because I'm living comfortable as hell on $995 a month. So yeah, you definitely can. That's crazy. And again, I mean, I guess it depends on what's your definition of comfortable. Because that's my definition of comfortable: living in a really nice apartment with a sea view, driving a really nice motorbike. Like, I don't drive a shitty motorbike. Like, my motorbike is brand new, it's big, it's a really good motorbike. Going to the gym, buying healthy groceries, and getting my eyelashes done. To me, that's a comfortable life. So it depends on what is your version of comfortable. Like, if your version of comfortable is going to a beach club every single day, or going out drinking and partying all the time, like, then you might spend more. Like, also keep in mind, I don't drink alcohol. So, and like, no shame to anybody that does, but I know most people do like to have a drink, and the alcohol is an expense, like, if that is one of your hobbies or things that you do. So it depends on what your version of comfortable, but apparently my version of comfortable, I can live more than comfortably off of $1,500 a month in Phuket. That's amazing. It's actually amazing. What's one thing that people always underestimate in their budget? Well, I'm starting to think maybe I underestimate my 7-Eleven hauls, because sometimes I be going into 7-Eleven and spending money like it's not real. 7-Eleven will get you here, and then, like, there are so many of them. There's like 3 7-Elevens on every block, so you're just inclined to, like, go in maybe just to get a drink, but then you see, like, skincare products that you like, you see cute little tiny little bear lipsticks that you like, and you feel like you need that. And then they have, like, their desserts, and then they have all the snacks. So, like, 7-Eleven actually does add up. If you live here, because if you live here, you're literally going to 7-Eleven every day, if not multiple times a day. What do I splurge on that I probably shouldn't? Um, Probably having my groceries delivered. And I guess it's because what I want to cook, I need certain items from the European supermarket. And I used to live literally walking distance from it, but now that I moved to the more secluded area that I live in, I don't live by that supermarket. So if I don't, it is a long drive to go there, and I also have to like drive through traffic and drive past the police checkpoint. So I do have my groceries delivered, and that is a 180 baht delivery fee, which is almost $6. So I mean, it's only $6, but also like $6 for a delivery fee. I think in Thailand is a lot. I mean, it's not that far away. So I feel like I do splurge on that. And living in the area that I do, it is out of the way. So on the occasion that I do order food delivery from Grab, the delivery fees are higher. Also, something that I splurge on is fucking sourdough bread. I love the sourdough bread from Bartels, and I order it weekly and I make my toast with it. And it's pretty expensive. It's like $10 for that loaf of bread comes out to. So I splurge on sourdough bread. These are the things I'm splurging on. And I guess I splurge on traveling because when it comes to traveling is my passion. So when it comes to that, I really don't, if I want to go somewhere, if I want to stay somewhere, I don't put a price on it like that. Like, experiences are everything in life, and I'm never going to miss out on an experience that I really want to have because of the price. And when I first started traveling around Thailand, I did budget a little more, but I realized going to some of these islands in Thailand, like if you choose the budget accommodation, like it's just not that nice. Like I felt like the cleanliness wasn't that nice, the plumbing wasn't that nice. So I've learned to definitely splurge on accommodation. Now, I mean, I'm not going crazy, but I'm definitely spending more than probably most people do when they travel to Thailand on accommodation. Because I want to be comfortable. I want to be comfortable. I want to be in a good location. I want it to be clean. So that's what I splurge on. That I don't know. That I probably shouldn't. I don't know if I shouldn't. That's relative. Okay, a few more questions that I have, and then I'm gonna hop off. For people considering the move, what's the minimum someone should have saved before moving to Phuket? This is just my personal opinion. The minimum, I think you should have a minimum of $5,000 saved. Because things do add up quick. And like I said, for my lifestyle, I'm paying around $995 a month. That's like, about $1,000 a month. So like you're going to have to, if you're moving here, you're going to have to put money down for a deposit, right? You're going to need things. Like when I first moved here, I needed things. Like I needed an air fryer, a vacuum cleaner, or like just household things. You're going to need all those things. So in my opinion, I would say it would be smart to have at least $5,000. I mean, for me, that would even be scarily low to make a move halfway across the world with only $5,000 to your name. But minimum $5,000 you should have saved. Is it cheaper to live here than back in the United States? 100%, 100%. Even though it is the most expensive place to live in Thailand, like I just said, what I'm paying every single month here for everything included, that's not even close to what I was paying in rent in the United States. So it's, even though it is the most expensive place in Thailand, 100% it's cheaper than living in the United States. And the last question that I have, what's the biggest money mistake new expats make? I would say not having health insurance, not having travel insurance. Because a lot of expats come here, they get on a motorbike, they're not experienced, they start driving. Like I always say, they think that Thailand is Disneyland, and they get into a motorbike accident. If you've been to Thailand, you'll see the typical expat tourist stamp. They have the bandage on the arm, the bandage on the leg. Okay, because they got into an accident. And that, I think, is the biggest money mistake that you could make, is not having travel insurance. Because you don't know what's going to happen. So, and then if they don't have travel insurance and they get into an accident, healthcare in Thailand is great, but those bills are going to add up. Like, that's going to be expensive. So travel insurance 100% is a must, an absolute must here. Because the Thailand safety regulations, like there really aren't many, which is great. Like, their health and safety regulations, there aren't many of them here, which is great until you end up in the hospital. So travel insurance for sure. And the one that I use is Safety Wing. It's for digital nomads. And what's great about it is that, you don't have to be a digital nomad, right? You don't have to have a remote job. You can use it as travel insurance, even for, a short holiday that you're taking. And what's great is that you can even sign up for it after your trip has already started. So I think that's great. It's super flexible. It covers unexpected medical expenses, lost or damaged luggage, trip cancellations, things like that. So, and I've been traveling for a long time. I've used different insurances, but Safety Wing has been my favorite. Like, I like them the most. Like, their plans are the most straightforward, and I love that option of starting the plan after you already started traveling. Like, I love that. I think that's great. So definitely get health insurance, travel insurance. I actually have the link to the Safety Wing insurance in the description of this stream. So if you are thinking about moving or just traveling anywhere, whether it's Thailand or anywhere else, and you're looking into travel insurance, definitely check out Safety Wing. The link is in the description. But yeah, so that was actually all the questions that I had for the cost of living. So if, you're tuning in now, if you have any additional questions about cost of living, feel free to put them in the chat. If you're watching later and this isn't live anymore, you could always just write a comment on the stream and I'll get back to it with a response. So yeah, a lot of people have been messaging me recently, have been commenting on my videos, messaging me a lot on Instagram and on TikTok as well, about all things about Thailand, all things about living here, traveling here. And I have really made it a point to respond to everybody's comments and everybody's messages, because I really do get joy in helping people with, planning their trip to Thailand or planning their move to Thailand. So, I definitely want to be a resource for all of you who want to come here, because I just have such a love for this country that I just want to help everybody make it here and experience what I'm experiencing. So if you have any questions that I didn't answer in this stream, feel free to leave a comment. And I will definitely get back to you. I get back to every single DM, every single comment. And also let me know what topics you would like to see me cover next in future live streams. I actually have I have some live streams coming up starting the week of April 20th. I have a big adventure that I'm planning for July. This won't be Thailand related content. It'll be travel related content, but I'm going on a huge expedition, and I am going to start training for it hardcore Monday through Friday. So starting the week of April 20th, tune in for that. You'll find out what I'm training for. And I'll be streaming that every day, Monday through Friday, starting April 20th until I leave for my adventure on July 2nd, July 3rd. So stay tuned for that, and let me know if you want to see any specific topics covered in a live stream. But yeah, so once again, if you don't know me, my name's Jillian. I'm an expat living in Thailand, and I've been here for almost 2 years now, living in Phuket. And today we covered the cost of living in Phuket. So let me know if you have any questions, or if you want to see a live stream about something specific. If you're just joining now, I'm just about to hop off, but feel free to, if you have an immediate question, you could drop it in the chat, or feel free to go back and rewatch the stream. I talked about everything cost of living in Phuket, from housing to food to transportation, things you need to know before moving here, living here, and all of that. So make sure you go back and rewatch. All right, guys. I'll see you on the next stream.